Hello everybody, this is Graeme Anderson from Four Corners of the Board, and today I'm going to be looking at Fire in the Library. Now this game caught my eye because of the theme. I really enjoy reading physical books, and having worked in libraries in the past, so the idea of rescuing books from the burning library really piqued my interest. So this is a push your luck game with a few decision points, and some minor take-that elements. So did I enjoy rescuing books, or did the game trip and stumble for me? Let's get to the table, see how it's played, then we'll come back for my final thoughts on Fire in the Library. Here's Fire in the Library set up for 4 players. You've got 4 different types of library cards based on book color. The cards are ordered sequentially with the lowest number on the top. Then place the 4 piles in the center of the table, forming the library. The scoring track is placed to one side, and next put all 22 book tokens in the bag along with 7 of the 17 fire tokens. The other 10 fire tokens will be added later in the game. Finally, shuffle the tools deck and reveal 3 cards to make up the tool market. I'll quickly talk about the tool cards. Each will have an ability shown at the bottom of the card, and the top left will be what phase during the game it can be played. Each player will choose a color and place their meeple on the scoring track. Each player is also dealt 2 tool cards which are kept secret until played. Then take the number of player cards and randomly deal them out. This will be turn order for the first round. The game is now ready and is played over a number of rounds until the library has completely burned down, which is not a fixed number of rounds. During each round, players will determine turn order, then each player will take a turn, then do the round end steps. During each round, except for the first, the player with the fewest points gets to decide which player order they want. They don't have to take the first player. Then the player with the second least points picks, etc., until each player has a turn order card. Then, in turn order, each player will try and rescue books from the library without accidentally knocking books or shelves over into the fire to have it spread. The active player will draw cubes from the bag, one at a time. They'll place the cube in the leftmost spot on their turn order card. If it's a book token, that is, a non-red cube, the player can continue to draw cubes. If they draw a fire cube or a red cube, then check to see whether it was the second one drawn in the safe space or the first one in the fire zone. If either of these is true, the player stops and triggers fire spreading. If not, the player can continue to draw cubes. When the player has decided to stop and has not caused fire to spread, they can move on to scoring. But before we get into scoring, let me talk about the fire spreading. A player can play a tool card when they have caused the first fire to spread and try and stop it. If the tool card removes a fire cube from the player turn order card and makes him no longer over this limit, the player can continue to draw cubes out of the bag and try to save more books. But if the player is unable to stop the spread of the fire with the use of a tool card, then they will score no points this round. Then, for each book color cube they've already collected, they will remove the top card from that deck. If only fire cubes were drawn, remove the card with the lowest burn index, which is the number at the bottom of the card as shown here. Once all the book cubes have been burned, then for each fire icon revealed on the library section, add one of the unused fire cubes back into the bag. Return all cubes to the bag, then the player will take one of the tool cards from the market or draw the top card, then make sure that there are always 3 tool cards left in the market. Then play passes to the next player. If the player is able to make it out of the library with books and did not cause fire to spread, they will score knowledge and bravery points. Knowledge points are based on the books the player rescued. Each one is scored based on the library section it came from. For bravery points, look at the rightmost covered square and score that many points, or take a tool card. When each player has had a turn, then we'll go through the end of round burning. Burn the card in the library with the lowest burn index, that is the number at the bottom of the card. If a fire icon appears on the next card, add one more fire cube to the bag. The game is immediately over when a destroyed library card, which is worth 10 points, is revealed. The library has collapsed and the game is over, and the player with the most points is the winner. Now let's get back to the table to see what I thought about Fire in the Library. So, what did I think about Fire in the Library? Well, let's first talk about the theme and components. For the theme, I actually thought it was thematic. Now, I'm not saying it's dripping with theme from every component, but the idea of pressing your luck by running into a burning library to rescue books just kind of makes sense in this game. And the more the book type burns, the more valuable the ones that are left are worth. And that kind of makes sense. Now, why you're not working together to save the books, I'm not exactly sure. That doesn't seem thematic, but I'm okay with that. Now, the components are good quality. The cubes are nice and large cubes. And of course, the bag is not nearly big enough. Now, I have fairly small hands, and my hand does get in there, but anybody with bigger hands is going to have an issue. The card quality, I thought was decent. Now for the library cards, I really liked the way they did the art in the library cards. They did a really good job of kind of showing the library burning, and I like the large picture it paints when all the 4 decks cards are put next to each other. And on the tool cards, everything is kind of nice and easy to read. Now the only minor quibble I do have with the components is the scoring track. Now since it is part of the box, it doesn't tend to lay flat. So you either have to kind of bend it, which I really hate, or put something on this side to kind of hold it down. It's only a minor thing, but overall I thought components, good job. Now let's get to the gameplay. First off, I'll state right here that I enjoyed this game. I think one of the biggest reasons is that there's more than one decision point on your turn. Yes, you have to push your luck, and fundamentally that's what the game is about. But the playing of the tool cards, as some of those might have a take that element or a push your luck element, and which order cards you take are more decision points you need to be making, which I do appreciate. But one of these decisions kind of feels a little off to me, the turn order cards. Now the earlier you go in a turn, for example if you go first, there are more risky spaces and less safe spaces. I'm okay with that. But since the cubes are kind of put back after each player has taken their turn, I didn't see the reasoning for this. If I'm in last place and I get to go first, which card choice I take makes me decide between potentially getting more bravery points for going first with fewer books, or more book points and fewer bravery points for going last. Now I always tended to go last, unless of course I was getting close to the final round, and then it seemed to be going last, you're going to be scoring more book points, which was more than the bravery points you're going to get here. So my big kind of question is, I'm not sure why the cubes don't remain on your turn order cards until the end of the round. Therefore, if you go first in the round, yes, it's riskier, but the number of good cubes is higher. And if you go last, yes, of course, it's safer, but there'll probably be fewer good cubes left. Now, I have not tried the game leaving the cubes on the cards to see how much difference it makes, but it just struck me as a little odd. Now, it's maybe just for, I'm sure they've done their play testing and there's some reason for it, but just it didn't seem right that you weren't keeping the cubes. Now, for the rest of the game, I always felt the tension of drawing the cubes in the bag. And unlike rolling dice, you do have a little more information. If I pull out 2 black cubes, then the likelihood of pulling out a red cube goes up a tiny bit, and I like feeling like I have a bit more knowledge about the situation. It's still down to chance, but I did like that. Now the tool cards themselves are another interesting aspect, as you need to be using them, but when to use them is another good decision point. You can fling fire over to other players, you can throw water in the fire so you can continue pulling cubes, but there are also tool cards that allow you to score a reserved book at the end of the game. So hopefully you're going to pick the right cube at the right time so it's worth a lot of points. So the tool cards themselves are varied enough to suit the different player types. Now I should mention that through the tool cards there is some very minor take that in this game. There are a few cards that allow you to put cubes on other players' turn order cards, but again they're not necessarily bad. One allows you to pull randomly draw cubes from the bag and place them on the unselected turn order cards. Another one allows you to fling a fire cube onto another player's turn order card, but you also have to fling your highest book value that you've already pulled. So I didn't find it that big a deal. As for the game length, the end is variable, but the game has an inbuilt clock that will force the library to burn every turn, even if all players are extremely lucky and don't cause the library to burn themselves. And the tension is still there. There's some decisions to be made, which I liked, but the game, I felt, did not overstay its welcome. It always seemed to end at a good time, 15 to 30 minutes. So if you're looking for a good, solid, light push your luck game, this is definitely one I would recommend. That's Fire in the Library from Weird Giraffe Games. So that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.